There we are. This old swaggy is camped by the billabong. Far from Barcaldine in the Channel Country of Queensland. This is the Lloyd Weir at Barcaldine, or Barcaldine. It's very tempting to call it Barcaldine. The locals get very upset with that. It's Barcaldine. You can call it Barky if you want to sound like a local, or you can't remember how to pronounce it, which is my problem most of the time. It's a really nice little waterhole, and you can stay here, I think, for up to 72 hours. It's interesting, in the corner of that picture there's a pelican sitting on a log, and he was not fazed by my drone one little bit. Didn't move at all. So this is obviously a man-made weir here, and if you look carefully through this video, you will see a black-breasted buzzard flying around. You can see him in a second flying straight through there, through the middle. And later on in the video, you'll see that he'll come down and he'll take a good damn look at my drone, which is why I landed it, because they have been known to think that there's some sort of prey, and they'll come and snatch your drone out of the air and won't do much for his legs nor for the drone. It's a lovely little spot. It's out of town. It's a donation, cost of donation, and we always think about $5 a night for these sort of places. There's toilets, and there's some drinking water, and you can see that kite down there now. And at the end of the video, you'll see that he will fly very, very close to the drone. As you come across here, you can see our caravan just there where the arrow is. That's us there. So if you're ever south of Barcaldine, call in. We're in far west Queensland. We're camped at a place called Lloyd Weir. There's a bit of a little dam up there and some water. This is below the dam, below the weir, and the river is dry. We just wanted to show you some of the size of these river gums. You know, that guy over there, that's a lot of tree. They're not all that tall, you know, it might be 10 metres or something like that. One there that's maybe 15 or 20. But geez, the stems are big, a lot of timber, big trees down in these waterways. In this country, you just add water and anything is possible. It's just gorgeous. This is very early morning, just gone 6 o'clock, and I'm out for my morning walk. And yeah, stunningly beautiful country. I just love the desert. And I feel for those people who make their living out here. They're a tough breed, and but they love it as well. This is another one. This is a dead tree, but you can see how big it was. That's got to be 2 metres around the base. One over the other side there that's still alive. It's got to be equal sort of size. Yeah. This is below the weir. Still right here, they got that water out of the weir. I've had a little bit of rain here recently. We're camped in an enclosed area, but still on a working cattle property. And the cattle are coming down to water, which they must do at least once a day. And these are Angus over there. A bit of a motley crew, but yeah, still early morning. This one's going to come over. See what this weird guy's doing. Great spot. We're in Barcaldine in Outback, Queensland still, and this is known as the Tree of Knowledge. This was the tree under which people sat to form the Australian Labor Party, or actually the Queensland Labor Party, which obviously went on for other things. And some peanut poisoned it in recent years, so they've built this monument here. And in an earlier video I talked about the shearers' strike, and that's what came out of the shearers' strike was the Australian Labor Party. So it's a really pivotal point, as I said before, in Australia's history. It's very hard to get this on video, but this is a marvellous thing. They've tried to replicate with these hanging wind chime things what the spreading branches of the tree look like. And yeah, so the shearers' strike I was talking about, we were in Winton at the time. The shearers were on strike all over the place. Longreach has a monument to them, and as I say, this is Barcaldine, spelled Barcaldine, Barcaldine it's pronounced, not Barcaldine as I was calling it. Or if you can't remember that, us locals call it Barky. You know, like Aggies. So, and this is the outside of that monument. If I go arse over tit, it's a pretty ambitious sort of monument. It's right in the main street of Barky, as you can tell. There's the car. This is another one of those towns that is really doing something to lift itself out of the doldrums, and you know, the place is clean, it's neat. There's all these trees along here, with tables and chairs and seats under them right in the main street, and the old Shakespeare pub over there, which was burnt down and then rebuilt in 1925. It's got Shakespeare written on the outside, but the guy who built it didn't spell his name with that E in the middle. So, you know, yeah, Barcaldine, really nice spot. This is the Black Stump. Well, this is actually a rendition of it because the original one burnt down, but there was, in fact, a Black Stump. You've heard the term beyond the Black Stump, meaning somewhere remote. Well, it was here, and it was actually an astro station, a surveying point, and yeah, anything to my right was described as beyond the Black Stump. So it's an actual place, an actual thing. And, yes, unfortunately the original one burnt down, and they've put a a statue of it in here. So I'm standing. I am standing on the top of Mount Slocum. I'm at a little town called Yaraka in far western Queensland. It's in between Blackall and Windora, and down there I think you can probably just see the town of Yaraka. It's tiny little town. We're actually parked behind the pub, and you get power and water for $5 a night. But just to keep the wheels of industry going, we are going to have a meal there tonight. We're on a little bit of a tour up here under the hills, and for that you pay a donation to RFDS, whatever you feel it's worth. So these are the Yang Yang ranges behind Yaraka. Mount Slocum, that's a pretty interesting sort of a place. We're here to see the sunset. That is pretty. As we pan off to the west, small mountain range over there, or hills really, not mountains, and then Mount Slocum again, and that's S-L-O-W-C-O-M-B-E, Slocum, not the normal way we'd spell it. Jesus, it is a big country. So that's where we were filming from just a minute ago. And so to say, the Yang Yangs, Yaraka down there, and these things in local parlance, these are called jump ups. There's another one over there. We would call them a mesa or a mesa, and or a tabletop mountain. But if you're a Queenslander, you call them jump ups. And there are a lot of them through here. Pretty, very still, no wind at all. Something a bit different. We've come through, we're southwest of Blackall on the way to Windora, and this country here is green, really green. That's amazing.
This is the mighty Barcaldine River. The sun coming up over there in the east. This is at Thargomindah in far southwest Queensland. The thing of interest here is this was a crossing point for Cobb & Co coaches. You can see the river, you can see that on the video. The river is actually flowing. They had some rain here a little while ago. A lot of the roads around here are closed. The more outback roads, which means we're going to have to change our plans for travelling, I think, unfortunately. But yeah, Cobb & Co would come across here. You can imagine coming across here in a coach, horses, not much in the way of suspension or comfortable seating. And when the river was up, they'd probably have to wait, or the men on board would have to get out and push, or something like that. It's a rocky crossing. I don't know whether these rocks have been put here or not, but it's pretty cool. And that's looking down river towards the west. Yeah, and then the track comes up here. Yeah. And again, imagine yourself in one of these coaches, if you've seen a Cobb & Co coach. What's the sign there? So this stone crossing was used by many different sources of transport. One of the most common was the well-known coaching company Cobb & Co. And so Thargomindah started as a home for coach servicing, because they would have some sort of place to change horses and stuff every 10 to 20 kilometres, or 8 miles, I think was the standard. You imagine as the horses come up out of that riverbank, they'd be under pressure, they'd be pulling, and the old coach would be rocking and rolling.
I've wanted to come to Thargomindah for some time now. It looked like an interesting little town, and it was going to be a staging post for our next adventure in the outback, but I will explain what went wrong with that at the beginning of the next video. One of the things that Thargomindah is famous for that I haven't put on here is it was the third place in the world to have street lighting created by hydroelectricity. They tapped into the Great Artesian Basin and used that to create electricity. So there was London, and then Paris, and one day after Paris, Thargomindah got street lighting. It would have been a great thing, and there would have been parties, and we've seen some pictures of that, street parties and things as the streets were lit up. A modern and thriving little town.